talking about the JDBC template, the advantages with JDBC template. Instead, using a simple data source and connection. Yeah, here is the discussion, right? So, for doing database CRUD operations, if your choice is JDBC, okay, lot of SQL operations are there, joins are there, lot of native SQL queries I wanted to write. So my choice is JDBC only. So using JDBC only, I want to develop application. So if your choice is JDBC, instead of using plain JDBC, go with Spring JDBC. It will give you some added advantages rather than a simple JDBC opening a connection, creating statements, executing your data with the SQL query, and closing statement and closing all the connections. You should properly manage all the resources when you go with simple JDBC. In case of Spring JDBC, if you try to use JDBC template, first thing JDBC template will ensures that you must need to use a connection pool. You must need to use a connection pool. You have to create a connection pool and you have to pass that connection pool into JDBC template. First, you have to create a connection pool and you have to pass that connection pool into JDBC template. Then you can use JDBC template in your class. That means JDBC template always. Just a minute, guys. Just a minute. I'll just come back. Yeah. So it is mandatory that connection pool is required for JDBC template. Is it mandatory while using JDBC you need a connection pool? Not required. You can directly do class.forName, load your driver, get driver manager.get connection, and you can do whatever DB operations you want here by just creating a connection. If I ask you to get a connection using JDBC, directly you do this. You will be opening a connection by loading just driver, then you will create statement, then you will be executing your queries. Finally, you will do this. But if you go with JDBC template, it is mandatory that you need a connection pool. It is mandatory that you need connection pool B. It is mandatory that you need this connection pool B. Either you go with the basic data source implementation, combo pool data source, Hikari data source, whatever it is, you have to create it first. Then you need to inject that data source into JDBC template. How to inject? There is a setter method in JDBC template class. This is a simple bean class. JDBC template also a simple bean class. In this class, you have a setter method called set data source. So by calling this set data source, you need to pass your connection pool object into it. Thereafter, you need to auto wire your JDBC template into your DO classes. If it is manual dependency injection, you can inject manually by using reference. If it is with auto wired approach, automatically it will be injected into your DO classes. As soon as it is injected into your DO classes, you can execute all your CRUD operations. Save, update to delete to select all. If you see our last example, we have created a DO class. Let me close all these methods. Collapse all. Okay. So here we have save method, update, delete, find one record, find all records. Five methods we have, and we are trying to do dependency injection of JDBC template here with the auto wire, and this JDBC template is created in configuration class. We have created a app config class. It is running a little bit slow. Be patient, okay? So here we have a configuration class for creating connection pool and JDBC template. So here we have basic data source connection pool and combo pool data source connection pool. Whichever you want, you use. Basically, we will not have this many connection pools in a single application until unless you have a two different databases you are connecting from one single application, and if you need two separate data sources. Hmm. Yeah, you can go with this. You use one schema here, you use another schema here. Yeah. So it's your choice first thing, okay? So if you have multiple data sources, multiple DAO classes, you need multiple templates as well. Okay. So you may not enough having one single JDBC template here. You may need to have multiple JDBC templates as well. Then you need to have two paths. Your application will be divided into two paths from here. One service layer will call one type of JDBC template DAOs, and another way it will call another JDBC templates DAOs classes. Okay, for now I need one single JDBC template here. So I'm calling create connection pool with the C3P0. So this C3P0 connection pool only will be injected into my JDBC template. Okay. So if you need two JDBC templates, you may create them. Again, you need to put JDBC template 1, JDBC template 2. Here, this template, if you want to create with a different connection pool, you can create it. And you can auto wire. During auto wire also, there will be a chance of getting confusion, right? You can resolve by using qualifier. Okay. For now, I don't want to go into that confusion scenario. So consider I have only one data source, combo pooled data source. I'm just commenting it. So now my application is having app config is having one connection pool object here, combo pool connection pool with connection pool size 10. Your wish, okay? You can put up to maximum. My database can support up to 15. You can increase that connection count if it is in your local, but for production databases, there will be some limited connections that you can configure here. Okay, so I'll be giving 10 here. And creating JDBC template bean here, and this JDBC template bean is having set data source method or else via parameterized constructor. If you don't want to pass your connection pool here, you can call JDBC template dot. There is a setter method also. Okay, via parameter dependency injection, parameterized constructor dependency injection, or you can go with set data source. A setter method also you have. You can call set data source and pass your connection, whichever is comfortable to you, either through constructor or you may pass via setter. Finally, JDBC template is ready. First, you need to prepare JDBC template. Okay, so you need to prepare JDBC template, then you have to inject it into your classes. JDBC template is having dependency of connection pool. Okay, so from the implementation side, if you see as a developer, when you open your project, when you start your coding after creation of your project folders and all right packages, first you will be doing this connection pool object creation. So as a developer, I will be creating connection pool first. So I'll be writing this code first here. I'll be creating a configuration class. Under configuration class, I'll be creating a bean with the connection pool object. So I'll be creating a connection pool object first. Then I need to inject connection pool object into JDBC template. Okay, this is for JDBC template I'm saying. So while implementation, right, this is how as a developer you will be implementing it. You will be creating connection pool, then inject into JDBC template, then inject this into DAO classes. You will be injecting into DAO classes. Thereafter, DAO classes you will be injecting into, you will be injecting, you will be injecting your DAO classes into where? Service classes. Then your service classes you will be injecting into controller classes. So just here I am using manual dependency injection connection pool into JDBC template. Hereafter automatic at the rate auto wired dependency injection. JDBC template into DAOs, DAOs also into services, services also into controllers, automatic dependency injection into controllers. This is how we are performing it. Only why I am doing manual dependency injection here. During configurations, during configurations, JDBC template and my connection pool class both in same place, in same class I created. JDBC template and my data source are in same class. That's why I have comfortability to call this method here. So calling at the rate bean method, calling at the rate bean method, calling at the rate bean method and passing here is a kind of manual dependency injection. Manual dependency injection. This is what we used to perform in XML based approach. And you need not to worry about it. Manually if I call it, will it be creating new object? Usually when you load this class, one object will be created for this. IOC will create object. IOC will create object for it. Object for what? Object for combo pool data source. For this combo pool data source, it will create object during loading time. During loading time, while your application starting itself, this object will be created. Then, if manually, if I try to call this method again, this method IOC will be called during startup. If I call this method from JDBC template again, will it be creating new object? Means nothing. When you do manual dependency injection, it will inject IOC created object only. Will be injected. Your IOC will create an object, right? During at the rate bean. When it find at the rate bean in your class on top of a method, that too it is on which class? Configuration class. So when it find it on configuration class, strictly one object it will create for your combo pool data set. Strictly this method will be executed only one time. Even though you are calling manually here, it will not execute the code which you have here again and again and again. Only one time during application startup, this logic from line number 38 to 46 will be executed. Thereafter, it will never execute it. Though you call it manually 100 times also, whatever object it was created during loading time, the same object it will be injected here. Which means the connection pool object which is created here will be injected into JDBC template. In which way we are doing it? Manually we are doing it. Manually we are doing it. Because this JDBC template and connection pool both are in a configuration class. Both I have created in a single configuration class. That is the only reason. Otherwise via auto wiring I can get this data source in another class. There I can use object. I can pass that auto wired object here. Okay, if you want to do that way also you can try. If you see any issues, let me know. Okay, as both are there, I used a manual dependency injection. So though you do manual dependency injection also, need not to bother about extra object creation. It will not create any extra connection pole. Same connection pole only. It will utilize whichever is created here. If you have any doubt, right, put a debug pointer here, run it in debug method. Okay, run it in debug style. During application startup, you will observe this code is executing one time. Again, while executing this method, again your create connection pool will be called. During that call, right, you can see it will not execute the logic here. It will not execute the logic there. Class known as Rajasthan. Yeah. Now, whichever is created object, JDBC template object is here with at the rate bin, it is eligible for auto wire. So you can auto wire this JDBC template into n number of DAO classes. You will be having so many DAO classes, right? Into all the DAOs. Let's say you have student to DAO, you have courses DAO, you have employee DAO. Wherever you want, you just auto wire it. You can have n number of DAO classes. In that DAO classes, you just need to auto wire your JDBC template. Just you need to put this statement at the rate auto at JDBC template. IOC container will do what? Whatever JDBC template is already created, that is available in container. Wherever you mention at the rate auto there it will inject it. So your JDBC template will be injected here. Okay. What next? You can implement all your CRUD operations. How? If it is a save method, use JDBC template dot update method. This update method doesn't mean that you are doing a SQL update. Update method is for DDL method. Sorry, DML method, data manipulations. Whenever you have data manipulations, which is insert, which is update or delete. Insert, update, delete. For any DML operation, you can use this update method. This update method given for insert, update, delete. Three operations. For three operations, they given this. So, how to put your SQL here? There are many ways. The simple approach is you can write simple insert query as like JDBC one. Insert values, ID, name, email address. That's it. You need not to bother about opening connections, creating statements, executing statement, closing connection, try catch block, finally block, from catch block, closing connection, from finally closing connection. You need not to bother about all that statements, right? At a single line. So that is what benefit you will be seeing here with JDBC template. Otherwise, it is not doing great things. It is doing the same thing which is in JDBC, but it is making your code simple. So developer need not to spend huge time. Easily he can able to do his CRUD operations. So simple save method you can see here, simple update method you can see here using same update method, and delete method. Find employee, select method. Query for object method I am using here. Same thing, giving query along with query to get the data into my specific bean. I have created result set to bean, one mapper class implemented. Usually in select operations we used to get result set in JDBC. In result set, if you get the data, you know how to iterate it. While rs dot next you will write and you will get ID, name, email address, whatever you have there. You will be getting and you will be putting into a simple object. So the same thing we performed from the row mapper class. There is a row mapper class that I have implemented. So this row mapper class will help you to map result set object data into your specific bean. So if you have 5 columns, get 5 columns and set into your beans. If you have 100 columns, get all 100 columns and set it into your bean. Depends on your columns count. You get all the data types properly. If it is an integer, get int. String, get string. So similarly, you can get date and all, and you can set it into your bean. Finally, we'll be getting that results there. And for find all, Same query, but I use query for list method. Select star. It will give all the records in the form of simple list object. Iterating over the list. In every iteration, it will give a map object, map with your column as a key. So you can fetch by using your column name map.get of id, which it is giving by default in the form of big decimal while setting into the list object. So you typecast it into big decimal. The remaining name, email address are strings. You get them and you can set them. Finally, I am preparing a list here. The list I am preparing here. In each iteration, one object is generated. That object is added to this list here. So that end of the day, if you have 100 list objects, inside list, if you have 100 employee objects, 100 employee objects will be added into this list. So that list finally returning it. So this is how you can handle any JDBC operation from JDBC template. Okay. And here we have multiple styles in update method also. Instead of writing this way, you can use query string also, like prepared statement. This is like tightly coupled, or you may say along with query we are trying to binding the data. So if you feel that putting the single quotes or double quotes is confusing for you, you can write this JDBC operation in a different way, like prepared statement way. You see this looks like a statement, right? In statement we combined or concatenate query with the data and we execute it. So you may assume that this is like a statement style. This is like a statement style, simple statement style. So you'll be seeing now prepared statement style. Prepared statement style. I'll be showing you. Same method only, just small changes we will do here. So instead of putting this, you can put in all the places simple query strings. Question mark. For ID question mark, name, email, address. Okay, bus. So I have a simple query with all question marks. ID I need to place at this point, name, email, address. Correct. How to pass that inputs here? So whenever you want to pass them like a prepared statement, okay, so you have to pass them here in object array. You can create new object array and pass your inputs here. Just give ID, name, email, address. Then you don't have this confusion of single quotes, double quotes here. It is simple. Pass your, first write your query, okay, with all these question marks based on your number of columns which you are inserting. I have 10 columns, but I am inserting 4 columns only. So you need to properly put them. Can we insert partial? I'm not sure. So as of now, I have 4 columns. So 4 question marks: ID, name, email, address, and that ID, name, email, address I am passing here via object array. That's it. So this is a little flexible, right? Rather than this, so you can put your question marks and pass the data here. Same thing you can apply to update method also. If you want to go with the prepared statement style, so for prepared statement style, in this place put the question mark, name, email, address, where ID. That's it. So now I need to pass same order. First is name, next email, the third one is address, and the fourth one is ID. So you need to pass same object array, but the order you should change. ID should be last. Bus. And here do the same. I have only single parameter still. use object array, pass that single parameter ID. That's it. And for the select operation, same thing. That's it, simple. Refer object, and for this star, it doesn't require anything. See, this is prepared statement style. Insert into employees, question mark, ID, question mark, name, question mark, email, question mark, address. We can pass all that values here: ID, name, email, address. And for here, I have a doubt that if I don't follow order, what will happen? In case if I give email here, name here, obviously in name place email will be inserted, in email place name will be inserted. So when you use these question marks, the order you should remember, and must you should follow the same order. In case if you don't want to use these question marks, like in JDBC, I want to use named parameters like ID, name, like this I wanted to put. So is there any way that I can do? Means yes. Rather than using JDBC template, right? You can use named parameter JDBC template. Named parameter JDBC template. You can try that as well. Create a bean, use a named parameter just to pass names like key value pair if you want to pass. Create JDBC template, create named parameter JDBC template, NPJT, named parameter JDBC template. So create named parameter JDBC template object here. Okay. This class is not having default constructor. So no setter injection, only constructor injection. So pass your connection pool object into named parameter JDBC template and return it. Bus. Auto wire this named parameter JDBC template wherever you want. Let me create one more JDBC class, DO class, and there let's do that. JDBC template versus JDBC template named parameter. Okay. So employee DAO class with the named parameter JDBC template. Okay. Cool. Now auto wire here named parameter JDBC template. Okay. So use named parameter JDBC template. So what is the difference it can show us here? If you use named parameter JDBC template dot update method, you can give your SQL prepared statement for here with the names instead of question marks. You can give names. Use colon. Colon is a placeholder. Name, whatever name you want to give. So give. This is for ID, so I am giving ID. This is for name. Giving name. So rather than using simple question marks, you can put names here. Email, address. So now you can use these names as a keys. Using these keys, you can pass values comfortably, but not like this. Okay, earlier we can pass it in, if you can able to pass it in a order, you can use object array. If not, that is the case, right? If you are using named parameters, you need a map object. Create a map, new hash map. Via map object, you should pass the key and value. So you can pass them. How map dot put all your keys and values here. So what is the key here? I am using ID. So use that key ID here. And what is the value? This one. Put that value here. So like that you need to set all the parameters. ID, name, email. You can pass your map object here. So whenever this update method executed, these placeholders will expect the inputs. That inputs you are passing from here. Otherwise, if you try to execute as it is, right, this query, see how SQL editor also will behave. Those are placeholders actually. It will ask you to enter ID, name, email addresses. So here I have two records with ID 2 and 3. If I try to run this, see it is opening a pop-up. One UI also generated. It is asking ID here for abc at gmail. Yes. Then one row inserted. So this ABC got inserted. When I run this, it is asking for this inputs, your SQL. Same way this prepared statement, when it executed here, it will expect that same inputs, ID, name, email address with the same keys, ID, name, email address. So I am supplying them via map here. So from that map, this update method will be collected, all the name, email address parameters, and it will be executed. Same thing will happen everywhere. You can remove these question marks. In place of that, you can put map object. Update method. For update method also same thing. Put your query with all names. Column name, column email, column address, column ID. That's it. This is for update method. And for delete also you can apply the same. For delete actually we have simple ID only. Yeah. Bus. For select also it is similar to it, right? Select. Select the star from employee where ID equal to ID. We have to use query for object plus it will return you your object. And select all, nothing to do with it, same thing. Query for list, I don't have any inputs, still it is asking. I don't have any inputs, just will not. Yes, fine. Named parameter JDBC template. This method SQL parameters is ambiguous for the type. What is that? Okay, null given, right? So let's give empty map. How I can create empty map here? Just give hash map plus. Okay. Bus. So this is how you can use named parameter JDBC template to use names instead of question marks. You can, if you can compare both the queries side by side, right? You can see the, or you can differentiate them. Okay. In place of question marks, we are using simple names, and we are passing values into that names via map object. That's it. That is what JDBC template is all for. Okay. So we learned two templates. One is JDBC template and named parameter. Okay, you can use JDBC template or named parameter JDBC template. I would recommend you to go with named parameter template, so that instead of question marks and all, you can place names and values you can pass into that names easily. Okay, so that you will not get much confusion when you have large queries, right? Multiple question marks will confuse you, which is the column mapped to which database column, that all you can't able to identify it very quickly. So while writing you may observe it and you may remember it later when you try to do modifications, and when you visit the same code, right, you'll be getting confusion when I returned and what is it all for, you will be confusing them. So if you have this particular names and all here, right, easily you can understand, okay, this is mapping for ID, this is mapping for name. Okay, so that flexibility will be having. Yeah, that's it for today. Do you have any doubts? I will upload it, okay, just by tomorrow session. Practice it and we will start Hibernate. I'll take you on Hibernate session, then we will see Hibernate templates.